I'm going to start this video by asking you a question. Why is it that you own many amazing clothes, but 80% of the time you only wear the 20% you like the most? Ladies, how many shoes do you own and how often do you grab the same 20%? I'll give you my example. I have 52 different apps on my phone, but 80% of the time I only access 20% of them. I don't socialize much, but when I do, 80% of my time is spent with the same 20% of my friends and family members. If you will notice, 80% of traffic on any YouTube channel, including mine, comes from the top 20% of the videos. Let's go through more universal examples. 20% of customers account for 80% of total profits. 20% of patients account for 80% of healthcare spending. 20% of criminals commit 80% of crimes, and so on. Anything you do, 80% of results will come from just the 20% of action. But who invented this concept of 80-20, which is also known as the Pareto principle? Vilfredo Pareto, an Italian who was a philosopher and economist, one day noticed that 20% of the pea plants in his garden generated 80% of the healthy pea pods. This observation caused him to think about uneven distribution. He thought about wealth and discovered that 80% of the land in his country was owned by just 20% of the population. It became kind of general for all life situations, and although it doesn't always come out to be an exact 80-20 ratio, however, there is a massive imbalance between input and output of any activity. What I also love about this model is that it forces you to ask yourself questions that you wouldn't consider otherwise. If you use it wisely, it's a constant reminder of where your focus is and where you actually think it should be. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to break this down into 5 areas of your life where you can apply the 80-20 rule. Remember that the numbers 80 and 20 are just an indicator. The focus is to find little things that give you the biggest results. Number 5, health. The 80-20 of health is about maintaining a balance of physical fitness and eating the right foods. It's not going to do much if you spend 2 hours in the gym if all you're going to do is keep checking your phone and looking around. Instead, you do 20 minutes of super high intensity training, and that will give you 80% of results. If you maintain 20% of good nutrition habits, that will have 80% of impact on your health. For example, drinking water, getting good night's sleep, etc. And the flip side of this is true as well. If you eliminate 20% of your bad nutrition habits, it will have 80% of impact on your health. For example, smoking, drinking, eating junk food, etc. Number 4, relationships. 80-20 can even enhance your relationship with your significant other, family members, or friends. But it applies slightly differently. As human beings, we're always looking for what's not there in our life and do not appreciate what's actually there. Here is what we do. Say your boyfriend or girlfriend is so great, loyal, attentive, supportive, and caring. However, they aren't as social as you are. You always want to go out with friends, go clubbing, and hang out with groups, but they would rather hang out at home or Netflix and chill. Instead of focusing on the 80% of the things that you want and are actually receiving, you focus on the 20% that you aren't. Number 3, finances. One of the most fascinating things I've discovered about the 80-20 rule is the way it applies to your finances. For example, 80% of your total grocery bill comes from 20% of the items, and if you want to save money on the grocery bill, then you need to address those items instead of the small items. As I was explaining in the beginning, we own substantially more clothes than we usually wear, so why buy them and why own them? Just because they're on sale? If you want to save a lot of money and be wealthy long before your retirement age, then save 20% of your income and live off the remaining 80%, always. Number 2, habits. We form habits every day and we perform habits every day. However, it's only the top 20% of the habits that give you 80% of the value. Only 20% of the time in your day is actually spent doing the important things. For example, doing something you love, spending time with your loved ones, taking care of your health, etc. You need to figure out what are your top 20% habits that add to your level of happiness, and you need to be spending more and more time in those habits to make vast improvements in your life. Number 1, study, work, and business. Whether you're a student, an executive, or an entrepreneur, I bet there are many situations when you're faced with challenges of limited time and resources. It's extremely important to remember that there are only so many minutes in an hour and so many hours in a day and only so many days in a week. Before you begin work, always ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities or in the bottom 80%? For example, if you plan to write and publish a book, 20% of your efforts will contribute to 80% of your success. That means that learning how to write and publish a book before you get started will ensure you spend your time more effectively. Hope you get the gist of it. I want you to decide today and that you're going to spend more and more time working in those few areas that can really make a difference in your life and career, and less time on lower value activities. And with that, the video comes to an end. If you like the content, please hit the like, thumbs up button. And if you're watching my videos for the first time, then I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.